It is always such a pleasure coming back to Fortnite and seeing what changed, especially when you take an extended break. I think I skip every other season at this point to revisit what's going on, or when a trailer catches my eye. This time around, my childhood was calling me. Is that Helldivers 2 in Fortnite? What the actual shit is going on? But glazing Fortnite is not what I wanted to talk about in this video. There is a dark side that we need to acknowledge that Fortnite potentially is harboring. Please don't chew my head out, this is just a think piece. But when I'm looking at the shop, when I'm looking at the pass system, I ask myself one question. What kind of generation of gamers is Fortnite breeding? And will they be good consumers or consumers that encourage shitty practices? The best way to look at this is let's break down what Fortnite actually is doing wrong and see what harm is it for kids to be exposed to that for an extended period of time. Because we all know when shit festers for a long period of time, it's going to be hard to kill the stupid generated from that cancerous, dangerous existence. Alright, but before that, Fortnite is really fun. I thought they removed AIs, or they were going to remove bots from this game, but I'm pretty sure I'm still encountering bots. Then again, I personally don't care. As long as it's not in a competitive mode, then I really don't care. It's still crazy to see all that Fortnite has to offer because goddamn, look at all these modes. Lego Fortnite. Oh, I look at you fondly. I definitely have to revisit that because that kicked off my survival exploration last year, and I'm kind of curious to see where it is now, almost a year or 2 years later. But now, okay, so in my opinion, the dark reality of Fortnite comes in two aspects. One, with this game pretty much offering a variety of different experiences, from first-person experience to adventure to puzzle to role-playing to survival, is there a risk that these gamers are going to be less inclined to give other games a shot, thus creating a whole different group of people who don't play other games? And secondly, are these gamers going to be responsible enough when they grow up to have good financial sense and to not support shitty gaming industry practices like we've seen time and time again? To the first question, I personally think it's not really a big deal. However, there is a strong possibility. Remember that game report I covered last year for 2023? There is a strong chance that games that create a market dominance effect create gamers that are less likely to try and experiment with different games. For example, you can see here the likeliness of a gamer who enjoys, say, those cancerous annual games will be less likely to try games like Pal World or Baldur's Gate or something new, fresh, and engaging. Which you might be thinking, well, that's not a bad thing, it's a completely different type of game. The issue lies is you can only create so many similar games out there to entice a decent chunk of people. How many battle royales, how many first-person shooters can you really create at one time where everyone can have a piece of the pie? Isn't that what we're experiencing in the shooter space in general? It's something I talked about in those videos, where these types of gamers want their favorite games to change, but they don't give other similar games a chance, so they let them die. Or if it's not exactly what they are used to, then they don't think it's good. That in itself is a problem. But like I said, I don't think that's much of an issue, but we're going to have to wait and see. We are currently only at the first wave, the first generation of Fortnite kids, but I'm not too worried about them because the Fortnite of today was very different than the Fortnite they grew up on. Now, the monetization of Fortnite, to me, the biggest red flag that I still hate that the game employs is FOMO. Looking at the battle passes, looking at what they offer in the item shop, the idea that things go on sale because they're rare or limited is a shitty way to monetize. It's very predatory. Games like Marvel Rivals, Helldivers 2, hell, even Halo Infinite employ tactics that are very consumer friendly. Battle passes that never expire, basically giving you progression systems that you can engage with at your time, removing the FOMO aspect. Obviously, all these games still have FOMO aspects when it comes to their shop items and limited time cosmetic sales, but I personally don't see a way around that yet. But Fortnite still does the FOMO battle pass thing, from what I understand. Fortnite loyalists, Fortnite dedicated players, please let me know if I'm wrong. But what I think counteracts this worry is the Fortnite crew subscription model. With responsible parenting, this creates a smart, cost-saving way where children growing up in Fortnite can get a little bit of a responsible taste on how to handle their finances. Which is kind of weird to say, we're talking about video games here, but with V-Bucks coming in monthly, with basically all their passes guaranteed, they get to build a good mentality of like, I'll just save up and get this and work hard to get this, versus relying on using your credit card or using your real world money to buy something they may be missing out on. But then that heavily relies on parents actually being parents. So if we worst case scenario this, right, the next wave of Fortnite kids could be susceptible to practices that prey upon those that really can't control themselves when it comes to FOMO practices. If you think about it, those are like what we consider the whales, or the people who, you know, in Apex did the collection events, who bought those all up, and that can be nasty. But Fortnite itself, I don't think is monetized in a bad way. Again, minus the FOMO aspect. Everything is direct purchase, there's no gambling, and it's not really predatory to that degree compared to other cancerous franchises. The last thing I'll touch on, mostly because it was recent and I saw it in my gaming news feed, was this whole aspect of children's safety. As this is not really geared towards children, I think it's a teen game, but a lot of kids play. And with the fact that there's a lot of user generated content, moderation is a huge deal. I think Fortnite needs to be really on top of this to ensure they don't end up becoming like this other game. Is there worry for the next generation of Fortnite kids to really be a problematic group of consumers? I think it's a little premature to say, considering Fortnite's not even 10 years old yet, but the signs are there. And if we look at other cancerous franchises who have already existed and broken the threshold of being in the industry for so long, we can make some correlations, and at the very least prepare ourselves on how we should handle this next wave of gamers. This was a think piece. I'm not really on one side or the other. I just figured I'd throw the question to you guys. So, is this a concern? Is there really a dark reality to Fortnite?